So now let's suppose that we have a total of 40 scout bees, and these 40 scout bees will go to 40 different sites in search of food. According to the quality of food found, we then select the 10 best sites, or in terms of our algorithm, we can say that each site represents a potential solution, and we select among these solutions the 10 best solution according to the cost given by them. So the sites which gives the 10 best costs will be selected, and among those 10 selected sites we further select 4 best sites as elite site, and the remaining 6 sites will be non-elite site. Now in the next iteration we will send 20 bees to each of the elite sites and 15 bees to each of the non-elite sites. That is, we have 4 elite sites, so 20 bees will be sent to each of the 4 sites, and 15 bees will be sent to each of the 6 non-elite sites. And throughout the algorithm, as we proceed through the iterations, we will keep on finding the best 10 sites after every iteration and update the sites accordingly. So once selected, these elite and non-elite sites are not the same throughout the algorithm. We will continuously update them whenever we find a better site with a better cost. Now let us look at it in a little bit more detail. So now let's say that the bees that went to 40 different sites came with the following cost values. Now, since our algorithm is for the minimization of objective function, so the best cost would be the least cost. That is, the lower the cost, the better is the site. So these are the 10 sites that we selected, which are encircled, and among those the 4 best sites are selected as elite site. As you can see here, the cost value of 9.88 is the least among all these sites, so it is the best site. This is the first elite site. Then the second elite site is with the cost value of 10.42, then next 11.69, and then 12.23. So these are the 4 elite sites, and then going further, 12.43, and then 12.75, 15.26, 16.86, 13.29, and then 17.32. These 6 sites make up the other non-elite selected sites. So these are the 10 best sites. Now each of these 4 sites, which are elite sites, to each of these 4 sites we will send 20 bees each, and to each of the non-selected, in fact non-elite selected sites, we will send 15 bees each. Remember that the total population will be 40 only. That is the number of scout bees. The total population after the end of each iteration will be considered as 40 only, of which 10 would be the elite selected and non-elite selected sites, and the remaining 30 would be the bees sent to other different random locations. Now let us go in further detail of this to see what happens in the next iteration, because at the start of the algorithm we sent the scout bees. They came with the cost values, then we selected the best 10 sites, out of which we selected the best 4 elite sites and the other 6 non-elite sites. Now let us see what happens when we have selected the elite and non-elite sites. So these were the 4 sites E1, E2, E3, and these were the 6 non-elite sites. These 4 and 6 made up the selected sites, and here is written the cost of each of these sites. Now to each of the E1 site we have sent 20 bees. These E1, E2, E3 up till E20, these all represent 20 bees sent to the site E1. Similarly, these 20 bees are sent to site E2 and so on. And for each of the non-elite site, 15 bees are sent to each site. 15 to this M1, 15 to this M2, 15 to this M3, and so on. Now, among these 20 bees for site E1, among these 20 bees, we select the best bee among these 20. Similarly, for site E2, we select the best bee among these 20. Let's say that of the 20 bees sent to site E1, E8 has the best cost. So this would be the best bee from site E1. Similarly, let's say that for site 2, E2 has got the best cost. So this would be the best bee from site E2. Similarly, let's say E5 has got the best cost of all the bees sent to site E3. So this would be the best bee for site E3 and so on. Similarly, let's say for site M1, let's say M7 has got the best cost among these 15 bees. So this would be the best bee for site M1. And let's say that for M3 also M7 has got the best cost. For M5, M4 has got the best cost. For M4, M10 has got the best cost. So these will be the best bees for all these selected elite and non-elite sites. Now we will update the best bee for each iteration. So here on the left is the cost from previous iteration, and on my left is the cost in this current iteration, or we can say the next iteration. We will only update the P in case if it has got a better cost than the previous iteration. For example, for site E1, the previous cost was 9.88, but now the best cost is 9.65, which is clearly better than the previous cost. So yes, this B will be updated, or we can say the B for site E1 will be updated. But for E2, the best cost from previous iteration was 10.42, but in this current iteration, the best cost is found to be 14.23, which is clearly not better than 10.42. So we will not update this. We will keep this 10.42 as the best cost and the B giving the best cost as the B for site E2. Similarly, for site E3, we have previous value as 11.69 and the current value as 11.75. So this also would not be updated. But for site E4, previous value is 12.23 but current value is 12.01. So we will update this. Similarly, for M1, it won't update. For M2, it will update. For M3 also, we will update. For M4 and M5, we won't update. And for M6, yes, it is less than 17.32, so we will update. So, after finding the best B from each of the selected elite and non-elite sites and comparing their cost with the cost of these best sites from previous iteration, we update the Bs only if the cost in this iteration of best B is better than the cost from previous iteration. And so after that comparison and update, this is the cost values of the Bs of these selected elite and non-elite sites. Remember that these Bs form the part of the population of 40 Bs. These are the 10 Bs that form a part of the population of these 40 Bs. This 40 is the actual population for our algorithm, and these 20 into 4, that is 80 Bs sent to the elite sites, and these 15 into 6, that is 90 Bs sent to the non-elite sites. They are not part of the population of these 40 bees. These are just the bees which are sent to the selected sites, and only the best bee from each site is taken in the population of these 40 bees. So in this way, these 10 bees from the selected sites and 30 other bees which were sent to random locations actually form the total population of 40 bees. Now, there may be cases that out of these 30 bees which were not sent to the elite sites, they were sent to the random locations, but there may be cases that they may find sites which may have even better cost than elite and non-elite sites. So that needs updating. So after this iteration, the bees from the selected sites are updated as this, and the 30 bees that were sent to the random locations will also have some cost value. So at the end of each iteration, we will once again find the best 10 bees, and among those best 10, we will find the best 4 bees as elite bees and the other 6 as the non-elite bees. That will continue in each iteration. So in short, at the end of each iteration, we will have 10 best sites. Of those 10 best sites, we will have 4 elite and 6 non-elite sites. In the next iteration, we will send some 20 bees to the elite sites and 15 bees to non-elite sites. From those, we will take the best bee, compare the cost of the best bee for each site to the previous cost of previous iteration. If it is better, then we will update. If it is not, then we will not update. And after final updation, we will get these 10 bees from the selected sites, and some 30 bees will be sent to random locations. And after taking into account those 30 bees and 10 bees from the selected sites, we will again find the best bee and update. Rather, we will find again the best 10 bees and among those the best 4 bees and update accordingly. So the best the best elite and best non-elite selected bees will keep on changing in each iteration as we find better and better solutions. In this way, our algorithm would, through the iterations, find better solutions and try to converge at the best possible solution. So this is the P algorithm in a detail. This is the actual working of algorithm. Now we will see the code in MATLAB. Now getting on with the MATLAB code, we start it with clearing the command window, clearing the workspace variables and closing all existing figures. Then into the problem definition part. Here we define our objective function. Our objective function is by the name of cost fcn2. There is a separate file of this objective function, and we are passing p variable in this objective function. This p variable is nothing but a row vector which contains 6 values which are actually the generations of the 6 generating units. Now number of variables is 6 because there are 6 generators in our problem. So this is a 6-dimensional problem. Then maximum and minimum limits of generating units are given in rows kmin and kmax. Now B algorithm parameters. Here we define our parameters of B algorithm. So the maximum iteration is 1000. Number of scout bees is 200. Number of selected sites is 100. Number of elite sites is 40. Number of bees recruited for the selected elite sites is 200, and number of bees recruited for other selected non-elite sites is 100. Let us look at this figure again. So n number of scout bees are actually sent initially, and these n scout bees will go to n different locations, and of those n different locations the best m sites are selected, and out of those m best sites further 4 best elite sites are selected, and the remaining sites m minus e are the other selected non-elite sites. Now for each of the elite site we are sending nep newbies to that site to look for food in the neighborhood of that site, and for each of the m minus e other selected non-elite sites we are sending n sp number of bees to look for food in the neighborhood of that site, and other m minus n amount of bees of the original population are actually sent in random directions to look for food. So this is the breakdown of how bees are sent accordingly to look for food in different locations. Now, two other very important parameters of our bee algorithm, NGH, which is equal to 0.17 into Kmax minus Kmin. It is the initial size of neighborhood patch, or we can say it is the initial radius of the neighborhood patch. From here we know the maximum and minimum generating limits of each of the six generators. Now if we subtract the maximum limit, or we can say if we subtract the minimum limit from maximum limit, we get the range of that particular generating units. The same thing can be done for the other six generating units. So this is the total range, total work space or search space. Now we subtract the minimum limit from maximum limit, we get the range of that particular generating unit. And the same thing can be done with other six generating units as well. Now this range is actually the search space of our optimization problem. Since our problem is six dimensional, so we have a six dimensional search space. And by radius, we mean that from any given point in the search space, how much forward or backward we can go to look for food in the neighborhood of that particular point. This is the patch, and this NGH denotes the patch radius. Now here we can see for generator 1, minimum limit is 10, maximum limit is 125, so the range is 115. That is given here. For generator 2, the minimum limit is 28, in fact the minimum limit is 10 and maximum limit is 150. The range is given as 140. And the same thing can be done for other 6 units. Like for the 6th unit, minimum value is 125, maximum value of generating is 315, so the range is 190. So this range is nothing but maximum value minus minimum value of each generating unit, that is Kmax minus Kmin, noted by this. Now once we have got the range, now we take the radius, and here for the algorithm we are taking radius as 0.17 of the range, but for simplicity I am taking in this example as 0.2. So if the radius is 0.2, the diameter would be 0.4. By radius what I mean, we will see this just now, but let us first define the actual value of radius. So 0.2 of 115 is 23, 0.2 of 140 is 28, 0.2 of 190 is 38, and so on. Similarly, 0.2 of 190 is 38. So this is the radius. So let this be a returning bee, and these 6 points be its position in the 6-dimensional search space. Now let us assume that this bee is an elite site bee, and since it is an elite site bee, so in the next iteration we will send N is NEP number of newbies to this elite site to search for food in the neighborhood of this site. Now, since this is a six-dimensional problem, let us look at one dimensional only, and the same thing would be applied to other five dimensions as well. So for the generator 1, that is for the dimension 1, this is the position of the B, 39. Now, since the patch size or the patch radius is 23, so we subtract 23 from 39 and add 23 to 39. So this is, by subtracting 23, we get 16. By adding 23, we get 62. So from 16 to 62, this is the patch of neighborhood in this elite site 39. The new NEPBs that are sent to the elite site will take up a position anywhere within this patch of 16 and 62. Now this is for one dimension. The same thing would apply for the other five dimensions as well. For example, let's say for the fourth dimension, the B position is 120 and the patch size is 35. So 120 plus 35 and minus 35. So this will give 85 and this will give 155. And this is the patch size. So for the fourth dimension, the patch size is between 85 and 155. The newbies that will be sent will take up a position anywhere in this patch. The same thing for the other dimensions as well. So this is how the newbies will look for food in the positions around the elite site. Now if this is clear, then we have our last parameter of P algorithm, which is NGH temp. This is the neighborhood sinking of the patch. That is, initially the patch size is given by 0.17 into this range of Kmax minus Kmin. But as we proceed in our algorithm, iteration after iteration, this patch would continuously shrink and the rate of shrinking is given by 0.998. So what this means is at the end of each iteration, whatever the size of NGH is, we will multiply 0.998 with it and decrease it further. And we will continuously do it in each iteration at the end. So the size of NGH will keep on reducing and reducing and reducing. This is done so that our algorithm converges after running all the iterations. Now moving on to the initialization part. In this section, we will generate initial position of scout piece and evaluate the cost. Now each B has two things associated with it. One is the position that it acquires in the search space, and the second thing is the cost at that position. So in this for loop, we are generating some random positions for the scout bees and then evaluating the cost value at those positions. For generating the random positions, what we do is we take the range, that is k max minus k min, and we multiply it with a random number. A random number is between 0 and 1, so any value between 0 and 1 is less than 1. When we multiply this value with the range k max minus k min, there would be some value which is within that range only, and then we add this to k min, and this is how we generate a random position of a bee. The same thing is done for all the scout bees, and once we generate the position, we then go for the cost evaluation. We pass the position vector into the objective function, and the objective function returns the cost value, which is stored in this cost array, and this B matrix is to store the position of the piece. So this B matrix will have dimension of n cross 6. N is the population and 6 is the dimension. So n is the number of population and 6 is the dimension of our problem. So n cross 6. Then once we have generated the random position of the scout bees and evaluated the cost at those positions, then we sort the cost in ascending order so that the least cost, or we can say the best cost, is higher up and the worst cost is lower down. This is done because at each iteration we want to find the selected sites, and among those selected sites we further want to find the best elite sites. So once this cost is sorted in ascending order, the first E entries are the elite sites. The next M minus E entries are other selected sites which are not elite, but still they are selected. And the remaining entries, that is M minus N entries, are the sites which are not selected at all, neither as elite nor as non-elite. They are not selected. So the total population is 200 and selected sites are 100 and elite sites are 40. So once we have sorted the cost in ascending order, the first 40 values are of elite sites, the next 60 values are of non-elite sites, and the other 100 values are of sites which are not selected as elite or non-elite. And once we have sorted the cost, accordingly we sort the bees as well. So this cost gives the sorted cost array, and this index gives the indices in sorted order, and according to these indices we then sort the B positions as well. So now moving into the main loop of the B algorithm, we initialize a for loop for the number of iterations, that is it will run till the maximum iterations are completed. Then as I told earlier, the initial bees that were sent to look for food, they will return, and once they return they will perform waggle dance to give information about position and quality of food source to other bees in the hive, and using that information, bees are recruited for different locations in order to search for food. And bees going towards the elite site go and search for food at positions within the neighborhood of elite sites only. And bees going towards other selected sites go and search for food at positions within the neighborhood of those selected sites. And the remaining bees go randomly and search for food at random locations in the search space. Now, for bees around the selected elite E sites, we again start a for loop which will run E times. Since E is 40, so this for loop will run 40 times, and each iteration of this for loop will correspond to one elite site. So next we initialize the elite bee best cost. This is the cost of best bee for the elite site, represented by a particular iteration of this for loop. And since we want to initialize it with the worst possible value, so we initialize it as infinity. So what happens is that for any elite site, an EP number of bees are sent to search for the food in the neighborhood of that site, and this elite bee best cost denotes the best cost found by those new bees that were sent to the neighborhood of that particular elite site. So in this for loop, for finding the best newbies among all the newbies that were sent to a particular elite site, we initialize this for loop. This will run NEP number of times, where NEP is the number of bees sent to the neighborhood of a particular elite site. Now, the bees that were initially sent and returned and were found to be elite, they will perform the waggle dance to convey the information to the newbies about the location and quality of food. And using that information from waggle dance, newbies will be recruited and they will be sent to the neighborhood of that elite site to look for food or look for better sources of food in the vicinity of that elite site. So each iteration of this for loop corresponds to one newbie sent to a particular elite site, represented by this iteration of for loop. So, so this for loop will run an EP number of times, and in each iteration we take a newbie, send it to the elite site, and it will take up a position in and around that elite site, So for finding the position in the neighborhood of that elite site, what we do is we have the radius, that is we have the NGH value. Now we generate a random number between minus NGH and plus NGH and add it to the initial position of the elite bee that has returned. We can look at this. Let me clear this up. Right, so suppose this is the elite bee that has returned and new bees that are sent to the neighborhood of that site. Now, as we saw earlier, that for this first dimension, the patch size was 23 and the patch range within which the new bees will take up the position is given by this. For first dimension it is between 16 and 62, for the second dimension it is between 20 and 76, and so on, and for the last dimension it is between 130 and 206. So once again let us see for one dimension only. The same thing would apply for the other five dimensions as well. So initially the returning bee that was found to be elite had the position of 39, and by patch size, the patch size or the patch range is 16 to 62. Now we generate a random number between minus ngh and plus ngh. That is, we generate a random number between minus 23 and plus 23. And let us assume that it was found to be, let's say, minus 10. So minus 10 we got. Now we add this minus 10 to the value of returning elite B position. So we add this minus 10 to 39 and we get 29. That would be somewhere around here. So this is 29. So the newbie that was sent in the neighborhood of the elite site found a position 29 in the first dimension. Similarly, it will take a position within the patch size of other five dimensions as well. So this is how we find the positions of the newbies sent to the neighborhood of elite sites. We saw it for the one dimension. The same thing would happen with the other five dimensions, and together with all the six dimensions we will have a row vector of newbie which will contain the position of this newbie in all the six dimensions. Now let us once again look at what is this newbie and elite B bets cost and elite Bs, and we can take the reference of this table first. So these were the initial bees that were sent to look for food, and they returned with following cost values according to the positions that they found in the search space. And among those we found the best elite sites and other selected sites which were not elite. So after arranging all the cost value in ascending order, we got this, and among them these first four are elite, and these next six, they are selected but non-elite. So now let us take a look at this figure. The first four sites after arranging in the ascending order were elite. So these are these four sites, and the next six sites were the non-elite sites. NEP number of bees were sent to the elite sites, and NSP number of bees will be sent to the other selected non-elite sites. So each iteration of this for loop corresponds to one of these elite sites, and each iteration of this for loop will correspond to one of these newbies that are recruited to go for search for food around those elite sites. Now within this for loop, we find the position of newbie decorated to go around the elite sites by the method that I have just explained. Now once we have found the position of this new B, we will have to check whether it is within the boundaries of upper and lower limits. If any of the limits are violated, then we have to enforce the limits on that value. For example, if the value violates the upper limit of any dimension, then we will forcefully put the value equal to the upper limit, and if that value violates the lower limit of any dimension, then we will forcefully put the value equal to the lower limit of that particular dimension. For each dimension, we will have to check for the limit violation, and if limit violations do occur, then we will have to take the suitable action to force the limits. This is done in these two lines of our code. Then once we have checked for the violation of boundary, we now proceed to calculate the cost of the new B. For calculating the cost, the row vector containing the position value of all the 6 dimensions is passed into the objective function, and this objective function returns the cost of the new B. So in each iteration of this for loop, a new B is taken, its position is calculated around the elite site, and the cost value at that position is calculated. Then we check whether the cost value of that new B is better than the elite B best cost. This elite B best cost is this variable which is supposed to store the best cost value that any of the new recruited bees going around the elite sites has found. So this variable will store the best cost value that any of these elite bees has found. So for that, we will continuously update the elite bee best cost variable throughout the iterations of this for loop. So after we have calculated the cost of new bee, we check whether it is better than the existing value stored in elite b best cost. So for the first iteration, of course, elite b best cost has infinity value, so the cost value of E1 will be better than infinity, so elite b best cost will be updated as the cost of E1. But in the next iteration, when we compare the cost of E2 with elite b best cost, if only the cost value of E2 is better than the existing value of elite B best cost, then elite B best cost will be updated. Otherwise, it will not be updated. And along with updating the elite B best cost variable, we also update the best elite B. This best elite B variable is designed to store the position of the best newbie that were going around the elite site. So for the this for loop, for any particular iteration of this for loop, this best elite B will have the position of the best B recruited to go around the site corresponding to this particular iteration of for loop. Just for clarity, for the first iteration of for loop corresponding to site E1, if 20 bees are recruited to go and search for food around E1, then the elite bee best cost will store the best cost value among all these 20 bees, and the best elite bee variable will store the position of that bee which has the best cost among all these 20 bees. So if E8 is found to have the best cost, then the cost value of E8 will be stored in elite B best cost, and the position acquired by E8 will be stored in best elite B. Then this for loop will be completed and we will have the best elite B position and cost. So this is the best B for E1 site. So now we will check whether the cost value acquired by the best new B is better than the cost value that the elite site B previously had. If it is better, then we will update. If it is not better, then we will not update. We will keep this value. So in the example that we had taken, the cost value has been found to be better for E1. So it will be updated. So this will be updated. These two won't be updated because they are not better than the previous values, but this value will be updated. Now remember that this is the cost array. These are the first 10 values of cost array, within which these are the first 4 values that were of the elite sites in the cost array. And of those, these two values, first and fourth, are updated. So the first and the fourth value will be updated. So this value will change from 9.88 to 9.63, and in fact 9.65. And the fourth value will also be updated from 12.23 to 12.01. And these values will be discarded. So we have done the same thing here in this if statement. This elite B best cost contains the cost of best elite site B that was recruited to go around the elite site, and we compare it with the cost value of the B's of previous iteration or corresponding elite B of previous iteration. And if the cost value of the best elite B is found to be better than the cost value of corresponding elite B of previous iteration, then we update this cost value, and with that we also update the position of B, and this marks the end of this elite site for loop. So this completes the elite site for loop, at the end of which we have checked for every single site. We have generated NEP number of newbies, found their position, calculated the cost, taken the best cost for each elite site P, and compare it with the previous cost value of previous iteration of the elite B. If it is found to be better, then we update the cost and the position. If it is not, then we do not update, we keep the previous position and previous cost of the piece. Similarly, for the other selected non-elite sites, we once again initialize another for loop, and this for loop will grow from e plus 1 up till m. So e was 40, e plus 1 would be 41, and m is 100. So this for loop will run from 41 to 100. And next we have initialized the non-elite B best cost, just like we initialized the elite B best cost. So this will store the best cost value of all the newbies that are recruited to go around the selected non-elite sites. And once again, this for loop will run NSP number of times. So we will be sending NSP number of bees around the non-elite selected sites, and Each iteration of this for loop will correspond to one of these new b's. Each iteration of this for loop will correspond to one of these non-elite selected sites, and each iteration of this for loop will correspond to one of these new b's that are recruited to go around the non-elite site. Once again, to find the position of the new b, we do the same thing. Generate a random number between -ngh and +ngh and add it to the initial position of the non-elite site B. Then once we have found the position of new B, we check for the boundary violations, and if it does violate, then we enforce the limits. After that, we calculate the cost by passing the row vector of position of all the 6 dimensions in the objective function. Then we compare the cost of each of these new Bs that are going around the selected non-elite sites, and if the cost value is found to be better, then we update the non-elite B best cost variable, just like we did for the elite site Bs. And along with updating the non-elite B best cost, we will also update the best non-elite B position. This variable best non-elite B is used to store the position of the best non-elite site B found among all the Bs that were sent to the neighborhood of a particular selected non-elite site. So once again, let us look at this. For any iteration of this for loop, any iteration of this for loop will correspond to any of these non-elite selected sites, and any iteration of this for loop will correspond to one of these new Bs that are recruited to go around the non-elite sites. And this non-elite B best cost and next non-elite B, these are the two variables that will store the best cost of newbie and the position of that newbie found among all these newbies that were sent around the neighborhood of a particular non-elite site. So for example, for the first iteration of this loop, say for elite site M1, these 15 Bs are recruited, and among these 15 Bs, M7 is found to have the best cost. Let us suppose that M7 is found to have the best cost. Then this non-elite B best cost, after continuously updating through the iterations of this for loop, will contain the cost value of M7B, and this variable best non-elite B will contain the position of this M7B. Now, once we have found the best B among all these Bs recruited to go around any non-elite site, and we have the cost of the best non-elite site B, then we will compare that cost with the previous cost of corresponding non-elite site B, and only if the cost is better, then we will update. If not, then we will not update. Say for example, for this M1B, the best B is found to have the cost which is not better than the previous cost of corresponding B from previous iteration. So we will not update. But for the second and third B's, it is found to have a better cost, so we will update. So this if statement will do the same thing. It will compare the non-elite B best cost with the cost value of corresponding row from the cost array, and if the non-elite B best cost is better than that value in the cost array row, then only we will update the cost value of that particular row of this cost array as the non-elite B best cost, and along with updating the cost, we will also update the position of the corresponding B in the B matrix. That is, so this is the cost matrix, and as we can see, the sixth, seventh, and 10th values are found to be better, so we will update them. So the fifth value won't be updated, but the sixth value will be updated as 11.26. The seventh value will also be updated as 12.6, and the 10th value will also be updated as 14.57. And as a result of that, this, this, and these values will be discarded. And after completion of this if statement, this non-elite side for loop will also be completed. So with the elite side for loop and non-elite side for loop completed, we now move into the third part of our B algorithm main loop, and that is for the bees that were sent to go in random direction and search for better sources of food or better location of food source. So this for loop is initialized and it will run from m plus 1 till n. So m value is 100. M is the number of selected sites, among which some are elite, some are non-elite. So total of 100 sites are selected, and the remaining sites, or we can say the remaining bees, will be sent in random direction. So this for loop will run from 101 to n, that is 200. So it will run from 101 to 200. And now for finding the position of bees that are sent in random direction, we will use the same method as we used for finding the position of bees at the initialization part. We will generate a random number between 0 and 1 and multiply it with the range of that particular dimension, that is k max minus k min, and whatever the value we get, we will add it to the k min, that is the lower bound. And we will do the same thing for the other 5 dimension to get a row vector containing the positions in all the 6 dimensions. Then once we have the position, we will calculate the cost by passing that row vector into the objective function. Now after the cost of the remaining bees that were sent in random direction has been found, we then once again take a look at the cost matrix or cost array should we say. So up till the 10th position we updated the elite site B and non-elite B just as we saw earlier, and for the other positions, because in this example we are taking a population of 40 and out of which 4 are selected as elite sites and 6 are selected as remaining non-elite sites, and remaining 30 sites or 30 Bs are sent in random direction. So all these values will be changed. All these values will be changed because all these Bs will be sent in random directions. Then it may be the case that some of these values are even better than these values, and some of these values may also be better than these values, and even you can see that some of these values are capable of going higher up in the ascending order. For example, 11.26 is certainly better than 11.69 and 12.01 as well. So it can go higher up the order. So what I mean to say is, once we have got through the three portions of our main loop and we have got the cost array, once again we will have to sort the cost array in ascending order so that for the next iteration we can identify the best elite sites and the other best sites which are non-elite but selected. So we will once again arrange these values in ascending order, and corresponding to the indices of these arranged values, we will also arrange the B matrix which stores the position of the B's in 6 dimensions. We will also arrange that B matrix in the same order as we have done for this cost value array. So this is the sorting step. Once we have the cost array updated with elite bees and non-elite bees and random bees, we will arrange it in ascending order, and the cost, this cost variable will contain the sorted array of cost values in ascending order, and I and D variable will contain the indices of sorted arrays, or we can say it will contain the sorted indices of the cost array. And then using that sorted indices we will sort the B's, or we will arrange the B's in terms of those indices. So using that indices we will arrange the B position matrix as well according to the cost indices sorted. Then we shrink the neighborhood patch size as I told earlier. At the end of each iteration, the neighborhood size will be multiplied by 0.998, and it will keep on shrinking iteration after iteration, so that after completing all the iterations the patch size is very narrow and the algorithm conveniently converges. The last step of this outermost for loop is to store the best cost of each iteration in the best cost variable. We are doing that because we want to plot a graph of best cost against the iteration number. So we will be plotting the best cost found in each iteration on a graph. For that, we are storing the best cost values of each iteration. Since we are sorting the cost values in this step, so it can clearly be seen that after the cost values are sorted, the best cost value will be the first value of the cost array. So that's why we are using best cost variable to store the first value of cost array for each iteration. Next, in the result part, once we have completed all the iterations, we take the cost array of the final iteration and find the minimum value in that cost array, and the minimum value of that cost is stored in best fitness variable, and the index corresponding to that cost is stored in int, and using that int we identify the b that corresponds to the best cost value found. Now the position of this b corresponding to the index int will be our optimal solution of our optimization problem. The position is stored in kk variable, and we now use this kk variable to extract the 6 dimension values as the generations of 6 generating units. So Pg1 will be the first value of kk, Pg2 will be the second value of kk array, and similarly Pg6 will be the final value of kk array or kk row we can say. And finally, once we have displayed the optimal generation of 6 generating units, we then show the graphical result, or we can say we show the graphical way of convergence of our algorithm by plotting the best cost of each iteration. And in the end, we display the best fitness, that is the best cost value found after completing all the iterations. So this is the Bayes algorithm. Let us now run it to see what results it gives us. So now we have the cost coefficients from this paper. First, we will calculate the cost. The cost is calculated by multiplying the cost coefficients of that respective unit with the respective generation. Here x parameter, p parameter was passed, and we are taking this as x in this function. This x again would contain 6 elements, and suppose for this line, this is ci, this is vi, this is ai. Let me show you. So this is the unit number 1, ai bi ci. The formula for calculating the cost is this: ai into pgi square plus bi into pgi plus ci, where ai, bi and ci are the cost coefficients given in the paper, and pgi is actually the generating is actually the generation of the ith unit that we are passing as the row vector in this cost function, generation of all the 6 units. So for the first unit, ai is this 0.1247, 0.15247, and we are multiplying AI with square of the generation of first unit. So we are taking x11 square. Bi is 38.53 and we are multiplying with generation of the first unit, and Ci is 756. We simply add it to these two values. So this would give the cost of generation for the first unit. Similarly, for the other 5 units as well, we will multiply the square of generation to AI coefficient of respective units, and simply generation to the BI coefficient of respective units and add that to the CI coefficients of the respective units. And once we do this for each of the 6 generating units, we would simply add the cost of all of them. So we are simply adding all of them together. Then we have defined the B matrix. This B matrix has been given in the paper. This one. And we initialize a loss variable. Then we have to calculate the power loss. The formula for power loss is Bij into Xi into Xj. That is, we take one element of this B matrix, and suppose if it is B11, then we multiply this B11 with generation of first unit twice, because B11 is 1 and 1. Now suppose that we take B15. So for that we multiplied the generation of first unit and fifth unit with B15. Similarly for B25 we multiply the generation of second unit and fifth unit. For B43 we multiply the generation of fourth unit and third unit with B43, and similarly for each element in B matrix, we multiply the generation decided by the index of that element or indices of that element, the row number and column number, and we add all these terms after multiplication. So here we are using nested for loops. For I is equal to 1 to 6, then for j is equal to 1 to 6. When I is equal to 1, we run it from j from 1 to 6. So for I equal to 1, first we take this element, we multiply this element with pg1 and pg1, that is x1 and x1, first element of the vector passed into this function. Similarly, when j is equal to 2, I would remain 1 until j completes 6 iterations. So for j is equal to 2, we take this element and multiply it with first element of X matrix and second element of X matrix. For j is equal to 3, we take this third element, multiply it with first element and third element of X vector, and so on. And we keep on adding these terms that we get after multiplication of element of B matrix and respective generation with loss variable. So we would keep on adding this term to the loss variable until all the iterations of these two nested loops are completed. Then at the end, this loss variable would give us the total power loss. Then here we would take the sum of all the generations, because it may be the case that generation may not exactly match the demand. So we would take the sum of all the generation and add the loss with that generation, and our so adding the total generation with the total loss, in fact in fact adding the total loss to the power demand and subtracting from that sum of the total generation, this should be equal to 0 because our constraint is that total demand plus total losses should be equal to total generation. This sum variable stores the total generation of all the six generating units. Loss contains total loss and PD contains the power demand. This is power demand. Power demand. So when this losses plus demand is not equal to sum, that is this particular expression does not give 0, then we multiply penalty with this expression so that the total cost is affected adversely, because when this constraint is not satisfied, the what we are saying is increase the loss abruptly. This would mean that if constraint is satisfied, that is this is indeed equal to 0, then error would be 0 and error into penalty would be 0 and z would simply be equal to a, that is cost of this generating unit. But if the constraint is violated, then we are adding penalty to the cost. This would cause the cost value to degrade, that is increase, and we want to minimize, that is decrease the cost. So we would not consider those cases, or those cases in which this constraint is not satisfied would automatically generate a very bad cost, and good cost would only be generated for those combinations in which the total demand plus losses is actually equal to the total generation. The purpose of doing this whole penalty thing is that only, in order to satisfy the constraint and at the same time we are trying to minimize the cost. So once we pass the element, so now let us run it. And it is now running, the code is running. So this is the output of our algorithm. The best cost value found is 36,918, and this is the convergence characteristic graph of our algorithm. We can clearly see that the algorithm after iteration tries to find the minimum and minimum value.